Morning, calling to order the regular board meeting of the Marin County Employees Retirement Association of April 8th, 2026. Mr. Administrator, you call the roll.
Trustee Cooper,
Here.
trustee Helwig.
Yeah.
Trustee Martinovich is absent. Trustee Poole,
Here.
trustee Robbie,
Here.
trustee Silverstein,
Here.
trustee Vasquez,
Here.
trustee Vela is absent. Trustee Werby,
Here.
trustee Healy is absent for now. Trustee Jones,
Here.
trustee Shaw. Mr. Chair, all members of the board are present except for trustee Martinovich and trustee Vela, which means that trustee Jones and trustee Shaw will be voting in their place.
Do we have any members that requested telecom?
There are no teleconference requests.
Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the March 12th board meeting?
Silverstein will make a motion to approve the minutes.
How do we second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Mr. Chair, the motion to adopt the March 12th, 2026 board meeting minutes passes unanimously 9-0. Trustee Jones voting for trustee Vila, trustee Shaw voting for trustee Martinovich.
Are there any members of the public who would like to address us at this time? Moving ahead to the board retirements matter. Administrator, you have a report?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just a few items to report this morning. First of all, just a reminder that March and April are the busiest months that we have during the year for retirements. About a quarter of the retirements that we get for the year come in this month, in these 2 months, because people are retiring prior to April 1st in order to get the COLA that you approved here recently. So we always track this, and I'll be able to give you final numbers, but at least to date, we've got 28 expected retirements in April. That's down from last year where we had 37, but we already had 13 that we had set up in March. So the numbers are essentially almost identical, 40 to 37. So a few more than we got, but still not anything out of the normal compared to the last couple of years. I want to thank everybody for submitting your annual Form 700s. The process was different this year, and I appreciate everybody working through that. And I want to thank Dale for her work also on this, because we had a new process for tracking you also and for collecting information. So that's been complete, and appreciates everybody's diligence in getting that done. The last item is an item that has come up multiple times, and I want to say that we've finally been able to work through this, and that is online subscriptions to the Wall Street Journal. So we can do it, but there's a minimum number of subscriptions, and that's 10 in order for us to get the price. So there would at least need to be 10 board members who would be interested in having an online subscription to the Journal at the cost that they provide. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get that, and that's for us to get the corporate rate. So if you want, and you can convert at any time. So if you've got a current paper subscription and you want to convert to online, it also can be used on multiple devices. So you're not limited to a single device. What I would ask is, if you do want to do that, send me an email and let me know. And if I get 10, then we will move forward with that.
We have 10 board members?
Sure, you got 12.
Oh, okay. Well, I would encourage everybody to sign up, because even though I might have issues with the publisher, there's some very good information in there.
Just let me know. It is a corporate account, and that's what we have to have in order to get the corporate rate for it.
Did you say Financial Times or?
No, the Wall Street Journal.
Wall.
Yep. Street Journal.
So it's minimum of 10.
No, you could have more than 10. We just, in order to get the rate, we have to have at least 10.
Do we pay for it?
No, the MSARA will pay for it, part of education, information, keeping yourself informed. So it's a cost that the system will bear. That's my administrator update. Staffing, we still have just one vacant position that's on hold. We'll talk more about that later on this morning when we get to the Finance and Risk Management Committee meeting. Facilities use, the Marin Parks and Open Space Measure A Commission used our boardroom recently for one of their commission meetings. Future meetings, we have a governance committee meeting coming up on April 29th. There will be a number of new policies that we'll be presenting to the governance committee, as well as the review of those policies that have their regular schedule. May 6th is our board meeting. Make sure that you have that marked. It's a week early in May because of the SACRS conference. So May 6th board meeting, then strategic workshop on May 27th. And we have, I will say, finally filled out all of the presenters for the workshop topic. So pleased to have that work done. And that's my complete report. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Moving on to the standing committee report. Trustee Vasquez.
Yes, trustee Werby, Chair Werby, thank you. Report back on the Finance and Risk Management Committee, our March 25th, 2026 meeting. We met, review the administrative budget for the quarter ending December 31, 2025, non-budgeted expenditures, selected quarterly checklist items, vacant positions, and information technology security assessment report, and the proposed administrative budget for the next fiscal year. Going down the line, our administrative budget 2025 and 26 and non-budgeted expenses as of December 31, 2025. Total administrative expenditures for the quarter were 35.5% of the annual budgeted amount. Our total salaries were 41.7%, and services and supplies were at 27.6%. The non-budgeted expenses are approximately 5% higher than in the same quarter in the prior fiscal year. Down to our quarterly checklist here. Trustees have met the 24-hour education requirements for 2026. In the quarter ending December 31, 2025, Abbott Capital called $8.5 million and distributed $20.4 million. Pathway called $2.7 million and distributed $17.6 million. And our opportunistic managers distributed about $8.5 million in the period. UBS distributed $1.3 million in dividends, and AEW distributed $2 million. Post December 31, Emsera received $6.4 million in distributions from Pathway and paid $3.3 million in capital calls. Abbott distributed $16.1 million and called $1.1 million. Our opportunistic managers distributed $2.7 million to Emsera, and AEW paid $700,000 in dividends, and UBS paid $900,000. Moving along, our review of our vacant position. In compliance with Assembly Bill 2561, staff discussed Emsera's sole vacant position. Our administrative budget for fiscal year 2026 and 27. The total proposed administrative budget for 2026 and 27 is $5.8 million, 14 basis points of the accrued actuarial liability for the plan. This is under the legal cap of 21 basis points of the plan's accrued actuarial liability. Salaries and benefits are 65% of the budget and include a 4% cost of living adjustment for all employees as of July 1, 2026. Benefits are projected at 49% of pay. This is an action item, so committee recommends that the board adopt the proposed administrative budget for fiscal year 2026-27.
Therefore, this doesn't require a motion in a second.
That's correct. Because it's coming from the committee, it does not require a motion and it does not require a second. You would go directly to discussion.
So go directly to discussion. Does anybody have any discussion or anything that they'd like to highlight or differ or anything else about the administrative budget?
Yes, I have a question here. So our expenses at 14 basis points are well within the 21 basis points limit, and so that's very good. And I'm pleased to see that. Going forward, we were talking about investing in private credit. And I think those managers, the expenses are higher.
Remember, those are non-budgeted expenses. These are only the administrative budgeted expenses. The expenses related to investments like legal and actual are non-budgeted expenses.
See, so that doesn't figure into the
No, it does not.
14 or
No,
21
it does
basis
not.
points
No,
calculation.
no. No, none of the non-budgeted expenses factor into the basis point calculation. It's just salary, benefits, supplies, things that we can't charge against the trust. The trust items are, as I mentioned, legal, investment, actuarial, IT. Those are the things that are included in non-budgeted items.
Good. Thank you for that clarification.
And just so you know, there has been some discussion at the SACRS level about that 21 basis points cap and what it really does or does not. So I think the SACRS Ledge Committee is going to take a look at that.
Yeah,
item.
some systems that are running into it.
No, it's whether or not it really is connected to anything viable. 21 basis points of your accrued liability. What is that? And think about it for systems that have tens of billions of dollars. I think where it got noticed was that there was a survey that went around a few years ago where people looked at what their caps were, and some people were at 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, their liability is huge, and so what does it really measure against? I don't know that there'll be anything from it. I'm just saying that I've heard some discussion at the SACRS Legislative Committee talking about it. But we're well within it. We've been in the 13 to 15 basis point range for the entire time.
Administrator Wickham, the distinction between budgeted and non-budgeted, is that determined by GASB or some other entity?
You want to answer that?
Sure, it's determined by Searle, County Employees Retirement Law of 1937.
Okay.
Mr. Cooper?
So basically, the Searle says, here's your cap, and then it says these items are excluded from the cap.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cooper?
If you said between 13 and 15 basis points the whole time, what time period are you referring?
2010 to now. So my time, sorry. Cap used to be lower. The legislature changed the cap. It used to be a different, it used to not be your accrued liability. It used to be something else. It was based on your asset size. And then it got changed from assets to liability with the theory that more closely ties to your expenditures. I'm not sure about that theory, but that was the theory. So it moved from there to there. But in the time that we've been here, we've always been in the 13, 15 basis points, well underneath the cap.
If memory serves, it was 15 basis points of assets, but then with the great financial recession in 2008, 2009, assets dropped, and that's when the change happened.
Thank you. Action item?
Assets drop, but liabilities did not-
Remain the same.
did
And
not
so that
drop.
was the point, that it's a better measure
Oh,
to measure
yeah.
liabilities.
Liabilities increased
Right,
because you
right,
lost,
Right.
Yeah.
because plans lost 20% of the return. So liability went up.
Any other discussion?
For a second.
All in favor?
No, you don't.
Sorry, go ahead. Mr. Chair, the motion to adopt the recommendation from the Finance and Risk Management Committee to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2026-27 administrative budget passes unanimously 9-0. trustee Jones voting for trustee Vila, trustee Shaw voting for trustee Martinovich.
Back to you.
Lastly, on our Finance Committee, we reviewed the Information Technology Security Assessment Report. Staff proposed eliminating the annual Information Technology Security Assessment because the results of this assessments are duplicated in the annual Linea Secures Cybersecurity Risk Assessment. Barring any questions or comments, discussion?
Any questions about the Finance Committee? Then moving on to trustee comments. We had a CalPERS General Assembly. I'm not sure who attended.
Well, some of us reported last month, but trustee Robbie was not
I
here,
missed
so
out because-
he's reporting this month.
It was riveting. It was actually good. You know, there's a couple sessions, you know, like all these conferences, some are kind of interesting and some are less. You know, they had Jeffrey Gunlock speak, which you probably brought up, and he's just, you know, he's wound up. And he was talking about how much his electric bill was and for his house and how hard it was to get batteries. So there was a lot of information that really wasn't relevant to our day-to-day work. But you know, they had ethics sessions, obviously, that Ashley was running. They did talk again about this total portfolio approach that is taking more interest. CalPERS is using that process. You know, so that's interesting. Just hear the logic. Maybe you're getting to the same portfolio, but you're using sort of a different kind of bottom-up approach, looking at risk and return, and less so on asset classes. And I think on these very large institutional portfolios where they have hundreds of people, it's probably easier to implement. I think fund like ours, we don't have the scale or the staff, frankly, necessarily. And it's not clear that makes a difference in performance, but it's an interesting trend. The most interesting conversation for me was they had a gentleman from the FBI speak about fraud and online crimes, and he was really entertaining. And he talked about, you know, how so much of this is coming from Russia. And not to get in the weeds, because I know we've got things to do today. He talked about the fact that they can identify who these criminals are in Russia, but they can't get to them. And maybe this came up at the last meeting. I wasn't here. So they wait. The FBI waits until these criminals go on vacation somewhere in the world with their girlfriends or boyfriends, and then they pick them up. So interesting story about kind of this work that the FBI is doing. It's really critical to protecting all of our systems, but also trying to hold people accountable and how they have this long game where they're kind of waiting. So overall, I thought it was a good conference.
Thank you.
Sure.
Were there any other comments, trustees, about anything that they've learned in the interim? Then moving on to new business, the Sackers Board of Directors elections.
So you have the memo from me in the packet, and also then the material from Sackers. In the spring, Sackers conducts elections for the Board of Directors. The election is held at the spring business meeting, which is on the last day of the conference this year. That will be Friday, May 15th, 2026. Sackers forms a nominating committee, and the nominating committee recommends a slate of candidates to all of the Searle systems that participate in Sackers. You have in front of you in my memo the list of all the candidates that have been recommended by the nominating committee. These are the same candidates that served on the board last year, so there's no changes. There are no different candidates. All of the candidates' applications and their bios are included in the materials from Sackers. Our job today is to next month, we will deal with who is going to be the person who serves as the board. This month, we are just dealing with the slate of officers. So the recommendation from staff, because these are the same individuals who served last year, is that the board would direct whoever it is that we select as the delegate to vote in favor of the slate of officers.
Which would require a motion.
And that's
second.
correct.
Has everyone had a chance to review the slate and and there weren't that many alternatives to.
There were no alternatives.
I think someone else ran for president. I think two people ran for president, as I recall, in the package. I could be wrong.
I did not see that, Mr. Chair, but you might saying that you would be wrong on that. But,
No, I'm not saying it.
but I only see that there was before in last year, there were some alternate candidates. But I don't believe there are any alternate candidates this year.
Yeah, I stand correct. Again,
I'll move to adopt this list of people.
Seconded by Robbie.
any discussion?
A question, were there ever any interest for Sarah to be
Trustee
somebody?
Trustee Cooper has served on the SACRS board before,
Okay.
and it's open to any trustee. So if any board members are interested in serving on SACRS, then speak up. We've done it a little less formally in that Trustee Cooper just submitted his. Some systems, like you can see in Orange County, their boards actually adopted a resolution recommending their candidate, and we could do that. So, but it's available to any of you is the answer.
Okay, and briefly as possible, what is their role? I mean, how?
The role of the board of directors, and I'll let Trustee Cooper add to this, is you are really directing SACRS as an organization. So think about it. You're putting on 2 very large conferences a year. So you have a program committee. You also have subcommittees underneath that. So you have an affiliates committee, ledge committee. And so the board's job is to oversee the activities of all of those different committees. So it's a commitment. Not a significant one, but it's a commitment, and you have board of director meetings that you would need to attend. So, but Trustee Cooper, maybe if you want to add anything more.
Yeah, earlier in the spring, get exactly where I saw it, I think it was at the board in our packet, it listed that they would receive applications to serve on the board. And there are, you can apply for any of the specific positions that we see here. I was a regular board member, not secretary. Yeah, you just put in your bio. This group of candidates, this will be their second year, and I believe there will be a bit of a shuffle after they serve that year. So next year, this time, there could be an opportunity to serve on the board. It is a bit time consuming. Sometimes it feels like a meeting a month, either in SAC or now they've started rotating to different. You can go into San Diego
they're all
times, all over the place. And 2 conferences a year. So serving on the board, you just as Jeff said, I would say 60% of it is planning the next conference. And then there's planning the conference after that one, which goes on massive budget considerations, working with affiliates, fundraising ideas, opportunities, and then just running the internal parts of the organization and big picture Sarah type things on the state level, what we can do to make. So yeah, I did it. I served for 2 years, and it was a good experience.
Thank you very much.
I would assume that there's opportunities to serve on the committees, which would probably be a good place to start before you wanted to jump onto the board.
And at SACRS meetings, they ask for all sorts of participation, and that's a good place to throw your name in. Offer to volunteer for these types of things.
And if you have an interest in that, you can let me know, and I can work with the SACRS administrator, Salama, and express to her that we have people that are interested in serving on.
Oh, and then behind the scenes is how they put the board together. They like to have a mix of large systems, small systems, northern, southern, male, female, all of that. Just try to get a wishy board.
Would it be possible to put together a list of the committee assignments that people could look at and say,
Yes.
oh, I'm interested in that,
Sure.
maybe?
Absolutely. I will get that out to everyone.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Mr. Chair, the motion to adopt the recommendation of the nominating committee for the board of directors passes unanimously 9-0. Trustee Jones voting for trustee Vila, trustee Shaw voting for trustee Martin.
Future meetings. Does anyone have any agenda items that they would like to see on a future on the agenda for a future meeting? Hearing none. The training calendar.
So just a few items that I want to highlight on the training calendar. Trustee Helwe is going to be going to the NC PERS conference. We've also added another NC PERS event late this summer, which is their public pension funding forum in August. We've added the NOSSAMN Pension Benefits and Investments Fiduciary Forum, which is in San Francisco this year. That's October 15th and 16th. And then the last item is Callan has indicated that they will be doing the national conference again in 2027 in Scottsdale. So those have been added to the training calendar.
Is there a motion to adopt the training calendar?
Silverstein will move to adopt the training calendar.
I'll be second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Mr. Chair, the motion to adopt the training calendar passes unanimously 9-0. Trustee Jones voting for trustee Vila, trustee Shaw voting for trustee Martinovich.
Leaving us with the consent calendar. Has everyone had a chance to review the consent calendar? And if so, is there a motion to adopt the consent?
I move to adopt the consent calendar as presented.
Silverstein will second.
Any discussion?
I actually have a question, just out of curiosity. What would happen if we voted not to adopt it?
Consent calendar?
Yeah.
Well, the statute is still sort of from the 30s in that in order for us to be able to pay retirements, it indicates that the board has to approve these retirement applications. So technically, we would have an issue with making all of these things that are on here.
Well, we would move to consider each item individually, right? I mean,
I think that if there was a desire not to approve the consent calendar, staff would need to explain what the implications of those are, because many of these things have been done. Okay.
What I think Trustee Silverstein is saying that you wouldn't just vote no on all of them. You'd vote no because you had a problem with one of them.
Not knowing what you would have a problem with, that would be the discussion
Right.
is there an issue on the consent calendar? And if there's an issue, could we deal with that singular issue?
right. And we could-
Right. And as with any consent calendar, somebody could move to, could ask that
pull it.
one of the items be pulled and then the rest be voted on. If one person were dissenting on the consent calendar, it would still pass. If there were a majority who were concerned with one, then we deal with it.
So are we discussing the majority rejecting it or only one person?
If one, it's majority decides. So if one person votes against, it doesn't change the motion.
So everything we just discussed is if the majority.
Only if the
disagrees.
majority.
Got it.
It takes 5 of you to do anything.
Although
So-
it takes one of you to pull it from the agenda.
It takes
from
one of you to
consent.
pull it. Any consent item can be pulled. We mentioned this when we talk about disability consent items, is that those can be pulled. It take one board member to say, I want to pull this item, and then we would pull that item from the agenda
For discussion.
for discussion.
And then the other non-controversial or less controversial ones would
Right.
proceed.
Right.
Uh,
In this case, you have multiple things that are going on. On the disabilities, it's just one. So if somebody says, I think this should be pulled for discussion, one item would be pulled for discussion. Here we have multiple actions that are occurring.
Good question, Trustee. Any other questions or?
This generates more discussion than I can have. This relic from 1937.
All in favor?
Mr. Chair, the motion to adopt the consent calendar passes unanimously, 9-0. Trustee Jones voting for trustee Vila, trustee Shaw voting for trustee Martinez.
That completes our work here. Thank you very